So I was I had a boyfriend before you. I don't know if you know that. And he had bought a house in Transcona. And we were living together in Transcona. This was at 1920.
For the record,
20?
you are the one and only woman I have ever lived with outside of roommates.
So is this about you being better than me?
Nope.
You sure?
Nope.
You're better at geographic and memory, right? Oh man, retirement's going to be a bitch. These shows are going to be so funny. Remember the time? Yeah, I'm over it.
What? What did she say?
It'll be more like you can't see me.
Safety Net Studio presents.
Congratulations to Angus and Odin for a very successful debut episode. It's not the first podcast I've ever done. I was actually looking to the archives, and Angus did a AAA Angus sirloin approved one almost a decade ago, which is crazy. We threw that up on SoundCloud. I think it might still exist there somewhere.
Yeah, they loved it. They want to know when they can come back. And we said, anytime you guys want.
Well, I don't think it'll be bi-weekly, but I think quarterly. I think quarterly. I think it would be, honestly, from a homeschooling standpoint, it's a great exercise. We worked on the formatics for a week, what they're going to be talking about, how to properly tease. I mean, the structure of how a podcast is supposed to work, intros, extras, storytelling, and they did great.
They did great. And I actually said to them, I think you should look at doing one every 2 weeks on your own. Like, we can create a little platform, understand how it works, because they don't have access to social media in general, like Instagram, Facebook, and that kind of stuff. Learning the algorithm, learning how to create a podcast, learning how to edit a podcast, learning how to edit audio, visual, putting it up on YouTube. Like, those are all skills that are not going to go to waste. So they're thinking about it. And I said, what are you guys going to call it? And I think they said A&O, AO. And I was like, that's great. So, and I love it because they're kids talking. They could be talking to kids. And I think that there's a lot of room for them there. I love that you put little bubbles over their head. We do our best to protect their faces for long periods of time. This is something we need to, we've always said when Angus is 16, we have shown a few photos, but just that constant movement just for a little while longer while they have their youth, protect their youth a little bit more.
Well, he's not far away from that. He's 14 months away from that.
He's also 100 or 99 days away from leaving.
Yeah, so I'm getting to that really quickly. For those that are new to the show, my name is Dave Wheeler. That is my wife, Candace Ray, and this is a podcast.
We should do it the other way. I'm Candace Ray,
Sure.
and that's my husband, Dave Wheeler.
As you can tell, we don't go over formatics and structure like we did with the kids.
No. You married me, and I went, woo! I'm like an inflatable wavy arm person. You don't know what angle I'm coming at.
As I always say, I married a unicorn. I'm just hanging on for dear life.
And that's what's got to happen.
A little bit later on, we'll get into the latest of your preparations as you have, 2 months, less than 2 months to go before you hit the stage?
Yeah, 8 weeks until I hit the peak week. So actually, I think today is 8 weeks.
Candace Ray is in her...
Today is 8 weeks.
So
7 weeks until peak week. Holy.
Candace Ray is going to be competing in her first WNBF bikini competition coming up at the end.
WNBF, yeah.
Coming up at the end of June. And I am competing to see who can drink more Coca-Cola before they die.
I mean, I'm telling you, I joke about it often. Like, they're going to cut you open one day and be like, wow, this is a very interesting brain. Is that all Coca-Cola? Like, there's definitely going to be a piece of it. You drink on average 4 Coca-Cola Zeros a day.
Fueled by caffeine.
But
there's a band called 21 Pilots, and their record label is called Fueled by Ramen. Mine could be Fueled by Coke Zero.
Unbelievable. It is unbelievable. I mean, even my coach was telling me about a client he had, how the client had several Cokes a day, and that since they've been working together, she only drinks 1 Coke. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. He's like looking at me, and I was like, Dave drinks like 4 or 5 on average a day. And he's like, just the shocked face.
But the difference is now I drink Coke Zero in comparison to 10 years ago when I was drinking Coca-Cola Classic with full of sugar.
Don't give me your dad's thing. I saw it in your eyes. I saw it. Like your dad's response was about to come up. You can break trauma.
I do drink water.
You call us over when you drink water.
I have a glass of water every morning. I have I'd say about 500 milliliters every day.
1 glass of water.
Yeah.
Over 4 Cokes. and 2 coffees. That's literally what you live on.
Listen, we could sit here and poke holes in each other's habits all show long
Sounds
if
like a
you
great
really
show.
want to. But I actually wanted to get into a conversation. And again, one thing that we try and do on this podcast is this is partly a weekly sit down for you and I to sit as a married couple and just kind of debrief about our weeks and our lives, and part time capsule for our kids. And I even mentioned this to our eldest son. I said, this is a time capsule for you guys, because I always still wish that I could go back in time and talk to my parents when they were this age. You know what I mean? Because there's one thing to talk to your parents now,
Yeah.
but there's such a generation gap and wisdom that has been...
I wonder if my dad would actually have been there.
Nope, still gone.
Still gone. Just
Yeah.
an absent, not there.
But this is a time capsule for the kids, and there's going to have to be a lot of forgiveness too. I even explained this. I said, because the goal line keeps changing, or the line keeps changing as far as what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and some of our thoughts may age well, some of them may not, depending on how society goes and what our current state of thoughts are on certain political issues or family issues or whatever it may be. I said, but it's an opportunity for you guys to be able to go back and see exactly what mom and dad were like at this age in our mid 40s. And when you get to that age and you have kids, and to be able to go back and actually have reference points, I think it's pretty special. I think is pretty cool. So the show is part that, and it's also part examining where we are currently, and we're in the acceptance stage.
We're in the acceptance stage of our marriage.
Yeah, we're coming up on our 14-year wedding anniversary, which is pretty exciting. And we've actually gotten news that, it's amazing how you don't realize how quickly something goes by until you're on a train. You literally see these snapshots as they go by. And then not until you look at a map, you realize your starting point and where it was, and our starting point of having kids. And now we're at a point where we're going to be saying goodbye to our eldest son for a month, as he has been accepted into a program through the Canadian Cadets, which he has been 3 years now. Yeah. 3 years now he's been a part of that, and he's going to be heading out to the west, interior BC, for a month of training.
Yeah, survival training, a survival instructor. He's going to learn how to live in the woods, how to
Which is
survive.
fantastic, because there's no way we were going to teach him that.
No, I don't know where that skill set even comes from. He gets it from everybody else but us. But he learns that. He learns CPR. He learns how to care for somebody. Like the skill set that he's going to learn. Like, I'm so excited. When he got into the car, because I picked him up, he gets in the car and he's like, Mom. And I knew it was coming because he had applied for it. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I didn't get it. I was like, what? He's like, I didn't get where I wanted to go. And I was like, oh. I kind of shocked me. I'm like, I went someplace else. I got this line. And he was just so excited. I was like, oh, you got me for sure. And the whole ride home. And of course, there is me driving. We've got about a half an hour drive home. And I'm so excited listening to him. But like, I can feel the emotion even now. It's like, oh, like, there you go. Like, and I don't want to stop that train at all, because I know what it's like to have left, and it was the greatest joy of my life to go and to travel, and I just wanted to be. And seeing our son find that passion is so great. But it's like the hardest thing about being a parent is like your heart is walking outside of you every single day, and it just leaves. And sometimes you can see your heart, and sometimes you have, like right now, they're not here this weekend. They're at my sister's house because my brother-in-law is changing spark plugs, and he's a real handy guy.
Again, things that we weren't going to be able to teach them.
We'll teach him how to do a podcast. But everybody's, and that's the thing about homeschooling, is you really lean on the people who have these skill sets. And so my brother-in-law, bless his heart, Rick, he says, like, why don't we have him out? My sister, and they love baking, and there's just lots of stuff to do. They live on a farm, and so they're out there for the weekend, and they're gone for 4 days. And I was like, oh, like even before we started, I'm like, hey guys, how are you doing? And so it's an adjustment for me, because you talk about the acceptance phase, where we can now see, like our youngest son is turning 12 this year. We can now see, oh, well, there's Angus, he's leaving for a month, and then maybe next year it's 2 months, and then the following year he could go away for a year and travel abroad. Like, but how proud I am to see his discipline, to show up consistently, is unreal. He make, like, now he and I work out together. That has been the greatest joy ever since he found out about a week ago. He's like, Mom, I have to work out 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, so now he is getting up with me, and we're going to the gym in the morning, and I'm just cherishing all that, because as he is moving into his own path, I think, oh, how can I be a part of that journey with him without ever pulling him back? I never want to be the parent that says, no, you can't do that. That's not good. We've always said, you want to go back to school? Go back to school. You want to learn something? You learn something. We have our base rules. You got to play an instrument, math, reading, writing, your vocabulary. You don't get it from your mom. Talk to dad, but there's these skill sets, right? Compassion, kindness, making sure that you understand the body. Like that's my big thing. And yeah, anyway, it's just been really interesting because it has been 14 years. We got married. Angus was 10 months old at our wedding, and he was wearing a little kilt. And there's a picture of you and I standing there holding, his hands. And it's one of my favorite pictures from our wedding. And now, I'm getting emotional again. Now we're about to watch him. And now he's got a countdown. I'm leaving in this many days, and this is all the stuff I need. I'm so excited for him. But man, no one tells you about, it doesn't matter even if they did tell you, the layers of being a parent. Not just the baby stage and the sleepless nights. Then they learn how to walk. And then they, they're out there, and then maybe you put them in daycare and school. And it's just, wow, it's fascinating.
Look at it this way. We are now closer in statistics. Statistically, we're closer to being grandparents than we are when we had our kids.
Not ready. Not ready for it. I mean, I'm ready for it, but I'm not ready for it. Like whatever happens, but.
Well, look, in the breath, and that's why I wanted to bring it up about him leaving is going to be a big adjustment for our younger one, who's going to be without his older brother for a month. Who those two are thick as thieves. I mean, they hang out together all the time, and that's one thing that I was really pushing you to have another kid sooner than later, and the gap is just shy of 3 years.
Pushing is a gentle word.
Yeah, I wanted to have them close together because my brother and I, we get along really well, but we're 5 years apart, and we didn't start getting along until I was getting ready to leave for my first stint away from the house. Right, that was when we really started getting along, and I wanted them to have a closer relationship as they were growing up. And they're just shy of 3 years apart, and it's they get along great. I mean, they fight like brothers, but it got me thinking about how my first time away from the house outside of traveling through hockey, it was every other weekend. We were away for a weekend at a time, traveling. The shortest bus ride we had was 4.5 hours, and I can appreciate now the anxiety I'm sure that my parents felt. 4.5 hour bus ride on a very narrow highway up in northern Alberta in the dark, and we had some close calls. Like we hit animals, we broke down, we got into accidents here and there, and it really kind of clicked into me after the Humboldt situation happened, which was a decade ago now.
Is it 8 years? I thought.
Is it 8 years? Wow.
Yeah, it's so unbelievable.
Absolutely heartbreaking. But the anxiety of like, oh, he's going to be away, and we're putting his safety in somebody else's hands, and that's
part of being a parent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And being able to slowly let go. But you and I you talked about never wanting to hold them back. There have been times where we've had to kind of push them a little bit, because there was times where he thought maybe I don't want to go back to cadets, and instead of saying no, you're doing it, making it mandatory, it was pointing out the benefits of it and pointing out the things that maybe didn't go so well this year past could change in the year coming up. Yep. and really proud of him for sticking with it, obviously. And even with our younger one, with music, wasn't quite connecting with his teacher at the time, and so instead of just giving up altogether, it's like, all right, let's transition to another instrument,
which he loves. He went from violin to the drum, which I always thought this kid, I mean, if you've ever met our youngest son, Odin, which if you listened to last week, Odin is a drummer. Odin doesn't like to wear a t-shirt. Odin runs around. He's super funny. That kid can make me laugh like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. And when he tried violin, I know why he wanted to do violin, because mom loves violin, mm-hmm. and he wanted to play for me. And I appreciate that so much. And he can play a few songs on it, but he would come back just so defeated. Mm-hmm. And I thought, why are you still here? And so it took a while to break him. No, he's super stubborn. He's a Taurus, super stubborn. And then finally, I said, Odin, why don't you just try going to the drum lesson and just see what it's like? And he came back just smiling, and of course his birthday's in a month, and now he's talking about wanting a drum kit. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, what's that one from the Sesame Street, Animal? Just like, that's Odin. Like, just, that's him. That's his personality.
Technically the Muppet Show, but.
Oh, the Muppet Show, yeah.
But going back to my first time leaving the house and being out of the purview of my parents more than just a weekend, and keep in mind, I used to sleep over at buddies' places a lot, and but I was 15 years old. I was 15 years old, and I got dropped off in a suburb of Edmonton to go play hockey for midget AAA, and had a billet, and lived with a different family, and luckily had another mate of mine from my hometown staying with me, and we both lived in the basement together. And it was a real weird transition. Like, I joked when we got the news that he was going to be going away for a month, I said he's going to come back with a beard. because there's a lot of growing up that comes back. And I remember when I came back, how much more independent I felt. And then after that, it was finishing off high school, doing a year at community college. And then after that, it was my first year away in Calgary at SAIT, and then back for a summer. And I remember when I was leaving for my second year, my parents helped me pack up my 86 Pontiac Parisienne. And I remember the last things my father said to me before I left the house was, he said, "Okay, now, this is it. No more coming back."
Wow.
And I was like, okay. That's
how old were you?
That safety net is completely gone. I was I would have just about turned 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
but isn't that part of our time? Kick your kids out. And now the culture, well, depending on what culture, is like just stay, help pay for the rent, help live, because cost of living went up. But that time, it was like, get out as fast as you could.
And I think it all comes down to where you grow up too, because where I grew up in northern Alberta, I can't think of a single kid that went, "You know what? I'm going to stick around. I love it here." Like the big city of Edmonton was always the goal. And I'd say very over 50% of the guys that I grew up with are all living elsewhere. I mean, there's a handful that stayed in Fort McMurray, or at least travel in and out and still work there because the money's fantastic, and there were great programs that were offered in high school where you could actually split your grade 12 year into 2 years and do one semester with an apprenticeship.
Amazing.
For a trade.
Amazing.
At the plant, whether it be a
trade.
A millwright or a instrument tech or whatever, welder, whatever you want it to be, and you would graduate a year late, but you would be ready to enter the workforce now.
I love a trade business, a school. I think it's amazing.
Vocational? No. That's the thing is because we only had 3 high schools in Fort McMurray. There was Composite High School downtown, Westwood, and Father Merck. We didn't have vocational schools. It was just a program that was offered by Syncrude and Suncor at the time, saying, so many of these kids are leaving, we need to keep more people here rather than outsourcing from elsewhere around the world. We can train these kids now. We were the first generation of kids born in Fort McMurray, and they wanted to try and keep them, and they did a great job of sourcing that.
And you said, not for me.
Well, here's the thing. So the hockey was the goal, but there was just something, and looking back at all of the little triggers and the little things that I did, and even, the boys forcing me to go up on the bus and grab the overhead mic and tell jokes, which was basically my training into stand-up, doing jokes for a bus full of guys. Those little things like that always kind of pushed me into that, what I'm doing now. So as much as I thought hockey was that's what I'm going to do, it was all training, and it was all personalities and what jokes work with this group and what jokes work with that group. And apparently I'm still learning that. But yeah, it's interesting to see, bringing it back to our kids. And I'm curious to know when you left for the first time. But for the kids, curious to know how much this is going to change him when he comes back. I think he'll have a much better idea of, I think I know exactly what I want to do. Because right now he has an idea of what he wants to do. But I think he'll have a better idea of, this is where I'm going.
I think he'll have more of an idea of being a young man. They're homeschooled, so there's a lot of, they're around all the time. And now you take away all your comfort. You take away, you're in bunks with, I think there's 200 kids that go, and you're training. And the last part of his training, to pass the course, he has to be he spends 3 days on his own in the woods. Now it's all, monitored and all this stuff, but he's got 3 days of camping, essentially. He's got to pitch the tent, eat the food, da-da-da-da-da. And I think he'll come back personally with that, like you said, I like a mustache, he's going to come back, shoulders back, realizing, oh, okay, this is what it takes. That this world is going to be hard, but the fact that I have these skills is going to be unbelievable for him. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to come back more wanting that. I mean, he really wants to be something in planes and things like that. But I'm just excited for him, because to watch your kid go through that is fascinating. To watch them remember the first step and the first time they do something. And he's always, specifically with Angus, has had a high standard. He's always had a side. The kid was sitting up. I have pictures of it. Remember the little tie? 3.5 months old, sitting, walking. At 7.5 months old, the kid was always
talking very early.
He always just had a high standard of his life, and I don't like to label them, but in regards to like a type A personality, he has a lot of those traits, you know. So anyway, I'm excited. That'll be an interesting few weeks. I mean, I've told all my close girlfriends and my cousins, I'm like, hold me.
Yeah.
Hold me. Like,
I will. I'm here. I can hold you. I enjoy holding you.
I know. And I'm excited for Odin because it also changes like our relationship because we get different time with Odin. We're thinking of doing a road trip with Odin and making that an adventure for him too, because now he gets mom and dad on his own and what that's going to feel like. So,
well, you and I this weekend, like you said, the kids are away at your sister and brother-in-law's, and we're kind of getting a early preview of what retirement could possibly look like. You know, being empty, and it's boring. It's boring. Yeah.
But you can watch as much golf as you want. No one's bugging you. You were upstairs and like you came downstairs and you're like, what are you doing? And like, just tidying up something. Like, okay. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, look, there's always something to do, but you know, those distractions of trying to chase the kids around, you know, it's not there.
Enjoy them while you have them.
Yeah,
I think that's the lesson in this whole podcast is regardless of where you're at in your journey. You know, maybe they're really young, or maybe they're the same age, or maybe they're gone. You know, they say that by the time your kid is 16 years old, it might even be younger, that you've spent like 70% of the life with them, because as they grow up, and think about how many times you see your parents. Very few people have parents that live really close. They see them often. I mean, you see your mom once a year. We haven't seen your father in person in over 7 years. That's a big bucket list thing for us this year.
I saw him about 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
But I haven't. And but I mean, for your dad, I mean, if you look at the stats on that right now, like as it goes less and less and less.
I still have my weekly phone calls with him. I call him every Monday on the way home from work.
Slow down, enjoy the moments. That's what the whole thing is.
But I'm kind of curious because me being the older brother and kind of setting the bar for my younger brother as far as leaving at 15 and, you know, again, eventually leaving at 19 and not coming back, and my parents retiring in between and my brother staying in Fort McMurray and moving in with my uncle. I mean, me being the older of the two and you being the youngest of three, you having your...
Nobody gave a shit about me.
Well, no. But having the example of your eldest sister getting married very young, having children, and then your sister, and then kind of where you were on your journey as far as... It was... I think we all know that you wanted to get out. Yeah. There was no doubt. But I mean, what age?
You know, when you asked me that question, I thought, when was the first time I ever went anywhere is my oldest sister, Tammy. She went for the summer to go live up in Jasper. You know, a lot of kids when they were 17 would do that. And so she was 17 and she went for the summer and she went and lived up in Jasper. She got a week off.
Over in Jasper.
Sure. But it is up and over. Whatever. It's up. Like if you're from Winnipeg, there's an up. Why do you gotta do that all the time?
Geography is important.
Yeah, but it's up and over. It's over and up. It's not parallel and up. Oh, we're not doing this.
It's west.
Okay, I'll say west. Fine. We can agree on west. But it is up a little.
Which is not up. West is...
Yeah, but it's still up a little. Oh, okay. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out.
Acceptance.
So she had a week off, or about 5 days off, and so she decided to drive and come pick me up and take me. And so she picked me up, and she drove out with me. And I got to experience what it was like to live in Jasper for a week. And there's some like iconic memories that
beautiful
I have.
Area, by the way.
Beautiful area.
God.
And I had never left Winnipeg, right? That, you know, I think I was 14 years old. And I got this experience to go with my sister, and she had this cute little car, and we drove all the way, and she, you know, like it was a different time. Like there was no phones. Like it was just like we were having a great time. And I remember it was the first time I saw somebody with a nose ring. When I was in Jasper, we were sitting at a breakfast because my sister...
What a rebel.
I know, but I hadn't seen one before. I was asking all these questions, and it was the first time I had seen it, and I think that was the first taste. You know, that was the first, like, outside of, like, my mom and, you know, when she was pregnant with me, she was in Hawaii.
So hang on, there's an 8-year difference, so you would have been...
12 or... No, 14.
Okay, so she would have been about 22 then.
Oh, then no, that's not right then, because she was 17.
Then you would have been 9?
I don't know, ask her. There was somewhere there because she had her first kid at 19, so it had to be before.
We're gonna treat the ages like we do geography. Doesn't matter.
I was somewhere between 9 and we'll say I was 10. How about that? For the sake of this conversation, we'll say I was 10.
Never let the details get in the way of a good story, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm over it. That was the first time. And then I think I was 22 when I left.
No, well, when did you leave the house? Like when did you move out? Like when were you no longer under
18.
the
18 I moved into an apartment.
Okay.
Like one of those basement, those first basement apartments. I still remember I had a futon, and it was like the black futon with like purple zigzags.
Yeah,
I
one of
had
those.
that. I had that, and it was a basement apartment, and I lived probably 6 or 10 blocks maybe from my mom's house.
Okay.
Yeah, and I worked. I had a full-time job, and that was it. I lived in that basement. I remember that, and there was no air conditioning. I remember because it was so hot one time, I would put the cold water in the shower on just so I could get like cool.
Man.
Yeah, like and the way, like if I look
Basements are
back,
supposed to be cooler too.
yeah, I specifically remember that I lived there for a while. That was the first time. So yeah, I would have been 18.
Were you renting from somebody you knew?
No, it was like down the street. If you go to the Garden City area, I can see the building downstairs. Yeah.
Oh, so it was an apartment building.
Yeah,
but
it was in the basement
but it was
suite.
a basement suite.
Yeah, it was a basement suite of an
I
apartment
gotcha.
building. Yeah, like a 4-story basement suite. So like it's your first apartment, and I think it was $400 a month or something. Like it was just. And at the time, I was working full time in the Garden City location, so yeah, I mean it was easy for me to get to and from, right? Because I lived out that way.
Yeah,
so.
was it Payless? Payless shoes that you were working at?
I worked between
Garden City?
Payless and Zales, so People's.
Okay, so
Yeah.
both in the mall?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, we're out of school, so you just work, right? Like, and I always enjoyed retail. It's just something that I know it's not for everybody, but I always enjoyed retail. So.
Yeah. And so from there, apartment, and then when did you leave Winnipeg?
So I was living I had a boyfriend before you. I don't know if you know that. And he had bought a house in Transcona, and we were living together in Transcona. This was at 1920.
For the record,
20?
you are the one and only woman I have ever lived with outside of roommates.
So is this about you being better than me?
Nope.
You sure?
Nope.
Are you better at geographic and memory, right? Oh man, retirement's gonna be a bitch. These shows are gonna be so funny. Remember the time? Yeah, I'm over it.
What? What did she say?
It'd be more like you can't see me.
Well, actually, I think I know exactly when you left Winnipeg. It was probably about within 6 months of me arriving in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So you would have left late 2002.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, because I arrived January of 03.
Yeah, so I found out he was cheating on me. I found out in a terrible way. It was such a terrible way back in the day. Like, what a way to find out. Like, I don't even... Back in the day, you would have, like, a DVD. And, you go on... People would take videos of, like, your whole trip.
Okay.
So there was a video that was put... I was like, oh, what's this from? Like, the trip. Oh, this is from the trip. And there was a very obvious moment that happened on the screen. And I was like... And then there was a lot of denial. And I was like, that's very obvious. And then, yeah.
Oops.
And I said, this is my personality. Okay.
Yep.
Pack up my shit. Let's go. And that's not the first time I've done that. And I've done that my whole life. When I get pissed off, and I only have a certain point. You can, I'm real good up until a certain point, but that's it. You step across the line of infidelity. I don't give a shit what it looks like. I don't care. I do not care. I do not care. I mean, we were in a house. People thought we were going to get married. Like, we were in a good relationship. I knew his family really well. Like, I thought his family was I loved his family. His dad was, like, so nice to me. And I found that out, and I was like... So then I left, and I applied for a job elsewhere. I moved back in with my mom, applied for a job elsewhere, and said, I want to get out of here. Like, I just want to leave.
Yeah, you went from here, if my math is right, you went from here to Toronto, Toronto to Bermuda, Bermuda to Australia.
Malaysia,
Australia. Okay. And then back to Winnipeg. That's it. Back to Winnipeg.
I never thought I'd come back. And I've tried to leave since we've been here. We went to Mexico.
Yep, 2 years.
And then came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying hard. We're trying. But the man got us down, everybody. Man, like, honestly, I not to get too deep into it here before we wrap up, but holy moly, like, there's not a single person that doesn't have a side hustle or a side gig or trying to make some extra income somewhere, somehow. Like, I can't comprehend how somebody makes a median income in Canada and gets by. Like, I can't wrap my head around it. Like, it almost...
Canada's going into the shitter. That's what's happening. I said it. Okay, Candace doesn't ever talk about politics, but if things don't change, but people don't open up their eyes and figure out a different way for things to work, Unfortunately, what's happening isn't good. When the government steps in and says, we're going to give you a tax cut, it doesn't mean that you're doing something right. It means that originally the plan was wrong. So maybe the people that are in power should take a step back and say, actually, this isn't working for the people. You have a huge homeless problem in our country. You have a huge issue all around. And instead of actually doing something about it, you don't do anything about it. We have huge problems in Canada, and people are not doing anything. And I don't have people always say to me, you can't say anything, Candace, you're not a politician, you're not educated on politics. You know what I am educated on? The fact that I live here and the fact that the gas prices have gone up. You know what else? When I go to Costco and the blueberries are $13, $14, $15.99 just for me to buy them, there's a problem here. That is the problem. So Canada, if people don't get their shit together, and I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't know the problem to the solution. Like, I don't know the solution to your problem. I don't know it.
Oh, I do.
I don't know it. But if people don't wake up in Canada and start looking around and really getting into your community, because I've always said this, you got to get into your community to make the change. It's hard to make changes on the federal level. It is not going to look good. It's going to get worse. You want to talk about a side hustle? You're going to need 2 jobs. I'm going to need 2 jobs. Kids are going to need 2 jobs just to be able to afford a basic house.
This is one of those time capsule moments where the boys are going to look back and go, wow, Mom was right.
Sorry, I had my carbs cut to 60 grams a day, and I do find that ever since that happened, I have tons of patience for people. I love humans. I love interaction because I always think everybody's a mirror and they're just teaching me something. So if I'm frustrated with somebody, I just think, okay, well, that's something within me. But what I don't have, like usually for me, like politics, all those kinds of, I tend to stay away from those big conversations because I can't make a difference. But lately I have been more annoyed by those things because why can't I say anything? Just like why I want to get on the stage, why not me? Why not now? Why can't I have an opinion about it? You don't want to hear my opinion about it? Great. But then the problem is when you have an opinion about politics specifically, whatever side I sit on, then the whole bunch of people for no reason are like, you're an idiot! And you're like, oh my gosh. So you can't have an intelligent conversation just about anything because everybody is just like, they just want to point. Well, why don't we just have a conversation about it?
Before we wrap up, curious to know, as you are 8 weeks out from cut week and 9 weeks out from getting on stage.
Are you going to cut all that out?
No, goodness, no. That's great stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, ask away if you really want to know my opinion. But, I mean, I think that's it. Like, there's a fear. Okay, you want to get away from it. I can see it.
Well,
okay.
no, not at all. Look, and I'm happy to talk about those things, but I would like to keep the content of this podcast to just what we talked about, the kids, that kind of stuff.
They're great.
Yeah. I mean,
this coffee's great.
Look,
carbs. I wish I was a cookie.
What do we have for time here? Yeah. Okay. Look, we got a few minutes here. Here's the way I look at it right now. The whole world is in a very transitional state, and not a lot of people know exactly how this is going to play out. There's a lot of doomsday people out there that are getting ready to dive into their underground bunkers because they think nuclear holocaust is mere moments away.
Live in fear. That's the problem I have. Stop living in fear.
Right.
I'm not living in fear. I'm living in something needs to change.
But what I think everyone's focus is, it's not being put in the right place. I've said this numerous times before, and it's a popular thought of when you're in an airplane and they explain to you if the masks from the ceiling happen to come down and you're traveling with somebody younger, make sure that your mask goes on first before helping the little one next to you, because the idea is you have to make sure that you're okay before you help them, because if you die, then they're screwed no matter what. Right? And I think a lot of countries, not just Canada, but a lot of countries are so worried about, we want to look benevolent and we want to make sure that we're helping. Well, you got to make sure that you're okay first and that your people are doing well first. And once everyone's okay, you go, okay, is everyone okay? Cool. Now let's all collectively go see who we can help. And right now it's like, don't worry about what you're doing. They need help more than the help that you need. And they've prioritized other people's needs over their own. And I think that you can bring that all the way down to instead of being on a macro level, you can bring it on a micro level where we need to make sure that our households, and this goes back to, is your bed made, from Dr. Jordan Peterson. You got to start with you. So before you start going around pointing fingers going, this and that, and this person, and that politician, and that, and
Fix
this person.
Fix yourself first.
Make sure that your house is in order.
100%.
And things are running.
And your community, your family.
Right, and you slowly work your way
right.
out from there. And so we are sitting across from this table right now, and we have been having daily meetings about what are we doing today? What is the right here and now to make sure that we are ready for tomorrow, not next week or next month or next year. What's going to get us best prepared for tomorrow? And I think if government started looking at it more in a day-to-day, they would be serving the people a lot better rather than serving themselves. Like,
I think that's the problem. They're not serving the people. Look at what's happening in Manitoba with the groceries. Oh, there's a tax break. But if you sell cigarettes and you're a small business, it's not for you. So why are you trying to buckle the small businesses? I don't think Superstore and all those businesses need the tax break as much. Well, I mean, I understand that people do. I shop at Superstore, I shop at Costco, I shop at Walmart, I shop at all those places. But the little mom and pop shop that's not getting the discount, that they're the ones who are needing it the most.
Well, I hate to tell you that small business in Manitoba is not going well right now. There are more and more small businesses closing up shop on a daily basis, like more than the government is actually reporting or the media is reporting, and it's a really sad state of affairs.
I mean, and let's face it, I hate to label myself this way because, again, I'm not a big fan of labels, but people would label me a conspiracy theorist when I have any kind of conversation like this with a trusted person, because, again, I don't need people flying off the handle of my conversation. But when you talk about that, if you look at the big picture, isn't that what they want? Mm-hmm. Smash out all the small businesses, smash out all bring in the big corps so that everything is funded under big corporations, and then the small businesses can't win. And people who want to have a mom and pop grocery store in the city, like what's the great grocery store that you used to right around our old neighborhood? It's a family that owns it.
Food fair.
Okay, so there's like food fairs locally owned. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at DeLuca's, locally owned. You look at, those are the businesses you want. Like, those are family-owned businesses that are doing their best for their family to bring generational wealth to their family, and they don't get tax cuts? I mean, I don't know about DeLuca's, but...
The tax cut she's referring to is the provincial government here in Manitoba took out the PST for groceries, but not if you have to be a certain square footage in order to qualify, and you can't sell cigarettes. And so if you're going, so that excludes convenience stores, and that was kind of the idea. It's like, no, if you're going in for groceries, but then not
so
all.
So it's because superstores don't sell cigarettes?
That's right.
Okay. But isn't there smokehouses?
But their gas stations do.
Right. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
So then there's again, it's always a loophole. So I think to go right back to
let's be honest, Galen Weston needs more money. He's the one that owns Food Fair or Superstore.
Superstore.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it goes back to exactly what you said. When you look at the way everything is now, I mean, now they say that the average home price for a new homeowner is closer to $1 million. Mm-hmm. When you bought your first home, it was $74,000.
$74,900.
I was talking about rent earlier in this episode. It was $400.
Yeah.
Yes, we look at how much things have cost and inflation is going up. But again, I was on the phone with a girlfriend who was shopping in Costco, and she was like, "Why are blueberries $15.99? I can't buy blueberries for $15.99." So now it's cheaper for her to go to a fast food joint, and that's a whole nother thing. For you to, but. Let me just say this because I'm going all over the place here, but this is the other thing. Invest in your health now, or you're going to invest it in 3, 6, 9 years. It's going to look like medication. So buy the $13 blueberries today versus going to get something cheaper, because the $13 blueberries, as much as they're more expensive, and that's a whole different conversation, invest in your health. Invest in your health from if you're not doing it, and if there's one thing I'll ever say, invest in your health. As somebody who's now really understanding it on a bigger level than just lymphatic draining and fascia work, through my years of understanding mindset work, what this prep is teaching me, and I say I'm now in the deep cut, what is teaching me is my relationship with food, what I really need to be able to survive, and what my body actually can do. So, I mean, and that's a bigger conversation.
I remember seeing a clip from George Stroumboulopoulos, who is, in my opinion, one of the best that Canada has ever produced. Shout out to George. And he said, if you really want to know what the secret of life is, go talk to old people. And you know what they'll tell you every single time? Is take care of your health.
Take care of your health.
Every single one of them said, I wish I would have taken better care of my health.
Thighs. Yeah. That's like your biggest. I say that because it's the biggest muscle in your body, and so as you get older, you have a hard time getting up and off your toilets and off your bed, right? So making sure that you keep your thighs.
Well, I think the core. I think it comes down to the core, right?
The core too. I think the whole thing, but the thighs. They say that the calves are considered the second heart in your body, right? Because your calves pump everything else. So you want to take care of your legs. And if you think of elderly people, they have a hard time getting up and out, right? So you want to be able to get down onto a toilet, get up onto a toilet, get down onto a bed, up onto a bed. But these are things you learn as you get older that matter more. We grew up in the 90s. I mean, so I joked with you this week. I was like, man, at this gym I'm working out close by while I'm training this isolated training, it's all really young, 20, 25-year-olds, matching sets. They're all kind of mingling in and stuff. I'm like, good for them. When we were 20, 25, we were at bars drinking our faces off. You don't know what you don't know. And then you find out and you're like, don't do that. And they're living a better quality life. They're going to be better off for it.
Yeah, but there's a trade-off there. And to dig into a movie that we saw recently directed by Gore Verbinski called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. It was something.
So weird.
Sam Rockwell stars in that one. And the idea is that a guy comes, just a quick synopsis, a guy comes from the future into the present saying, AI is about to take over. We've got 1 hour. I need a group of people to go and make sure that we take care of this because things do not go well moving forward. And I think it was a bit of a prophecy from Gore Verbinski that we're already kind of past the threshold of
for
that.
sure.
And so that trade-off is, they are healthier physically, but mentally are there? And I know there's a really big push in mental health right now, which I think is great. And I think the Ray Within, the 365-day toolbox, which we are offering through Safety Net Studio, I think is a wonderful way to make sure that you are checking in with your body and mind. Because again, when it comes down to it, if you want to know the secret of life, take that wisdom from the old people. It's physical wellness and mental wellness.
Yeah.
And I always say our generation is aging really well physically, but I think this new generation, they're not smoking, they're not drinking as much,
drinking is down so much.
They're not doing drugs as much.
People are leaning more towards religion. Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I am 8 weeks out from my prep, but actually 7 weeks out, just because peak week it's actually 2 weeks out is called Hell Week. A week before is called Peak Week. So that's where you really drop the extra weight. So we're in it. I'm 60 grams of 60 grams of carbs a day. And that's really hard because my workouts hasn't changed. And to do a heavy leg day when you're training like that, it's really, really challenging. But I keep reminding myself, number one, I'm the one who signed up for it. No one's pushing me to do this. Number two, I came here for the discipline. I came here for the consistency. And I came here to understand what an athlete at this level, to get to the stage, to be able to show your body, because it's not about like thirst traps and da-da-da-da. It's about the performance of getting your muscles so isolated to get up on that stage and have judges judge it and say, those glutes, that thing, you put in the work. Like no one hands me that work. No one is saying, oh yeah, here's a pill, here's this. Like I had to show up and do it. So the way my butt and glutes, everything looks, once I get up there, that's all the shit that I did, whether I did or didn't do it. If I cheated, it's going to show up on that stage. So I think for me, the big thing I'm learning in this whole process is that consistency and key is like the 1% stacked win. I talked about it all the time, and I put it in my toolbox as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at with prep. And I am struggling with the low carbs. My sugar cravings are out of control. I wish I could figure it out. But what I have learned in the last 2 days is getting flavored protein. Putting that in really does help kind of take the sweetness away. But you really understand your relationship with food when you start to really lessen it to just the stuff you quote unquote need to run your body correctly. And then you go, oh, I didn't really need to eat that, did I? I don't need to eat that to have the high performing body that I want.
All right, all that and more available.
Wow, that was a weird one.
Yeah, well, hey, here we go. Angus and Odin, we're proud of you. Maybe you're 46 years old watching this. Maybe you're 45 years old watching this. Hopefully you've got amazing children and amazing spouse.
I hope I can still get off the toilet. We'll find out.
Bring me a Coca-Cola. Do all the things down here. We appreciate your support. You can go check out this little art piece. This is the latest one in the Wheeler Wave series, which is available on YouTube. This one is called Bold Finger. Thank you for your support, and I love you.
I love you too. Up and over.
Up and over.
West and just a little up. I'm going to